Good morning, students. This is Suresh, your commerce teacher from Government Degree College, Kukatpalli. Today, we will try to have an overview on Reserve Bank of India, its historical origin, the structure of Reserve Bank of India, and the core functions RBI discharges. You all know that Reserve Bank of India is the central bank of this country that regulates all banking affairs. So what went behind the walls in the beginning of 20th century to incarnate this majestic body called Reserve Bank of India, we will see now in this short discussion, right? As I told you that the Reserve Bank of India is an apex body of Indian banking sector. That means it's a regulatory body established in the year 1935 with prime objective of regulating banking sector in India. It supervises and regulates banking sector. It doesn't accept public deposits nor lend money to common public. Why? It is not a conventional bank that we see everywhere. So it is this apex body. It is not commercial entity formed with profit motive. Rather, it is an independent statutory body functioning under the provisions of RBI Act 1934. So, it is a statutory body. What is statutory body or a statutory company? It is an entity that is brought into existence through special act of the parliament. So obviously RBI has come into existence through RBI Act 1934. Therefore, it is a statutory body that regulates all banking affairs of this country, right? Actually, there is a big history behind the establishment of RBI. So what happened at the end of 19th century? There was undue competition between British banks working in India as well as the banks found by Indians, especially the great patriots like Bogaraju Pattabhi Sitaramaya in Andhra Pradesh, Mr. Pai in Karnataka, that is Canara region. So they have come forward with banks like Andhra Bank, Canara Bank, in order to give competition to the foreign banks, that is British banks, and of course their motive was to promote Swadeshi banks. So this undue competition led to the chaotic situation in the banking sector. What happens when there's undue competition? So everyone will reduce the interest rates to grab the customers, and you all know that interest rate is the one source through which banks earn money. So the banking sector was seeing a very turbulent time in the beginning of 20th century as a consequence. So government of India, I mean the British government of India, has invited the great economist Sir John Maynard Keynes to chalk out a plan for regulatory bank of India. They don't want to, I mean, they did not want to see the undue competition among the bankers. So we all know Keynesian economics, right? Keynesian economics is fathered by J.M. Keynes, named after him. So this gentleman has chalked out a plan in the year 1913 to establish one central bank for India. But it was not materialized due to the outbreak of World War One. But unfortunately, the post-World War situation led to banking sector to see or witness many failures. Virtually every sector, every industry was hit by the war across the country and across the globe. So those who owed money to banks could not repay them on time. The consumption power of individuals had come down drastically. So banking sector was totally in doldrums, especially in countries like India. So then government thought, yes, there is a dire need to bring one regulatory agency. Accordingly, Hilton and Young were invited to India to chalk out a plan for one central bank. This DO is called Hilton Young Commission, or very famously known as Royal Commission of India. So this commission has conducted a very thorough study and recommended a name called RBI, Reserve Bank of India. So initially, RBI was established as a private bank. See the beauty. Today, the world's highly respected regulatory bank was a private bank back then in the initial stage. So it was established with capital of 5 crore rupees subscribed by banks and other financial institutions. So British government made it obligatory that all private and government banks, British and Indian banks and other financial institutions working in India to subscribe for the capital of 5 crore rupees to establish RBI. Even to this very day, RBI's capital is 5 crores. So that is how RBI has come into existence through special act of the parliament. The act passed in 1934, but RBI commenced operations from the year 1935. Yeah, after establishing RBI has rendered regulatory services to India as well as Burma until 1937, which we call as Myanmar now, during which Burma was grabbed or invaded by Japan. So Britishers lost control on Burma. Therefore, RBI had to cease its operations from Burma with effect from 1937. The surprising fact is that RBI rendered regulatory services even to Pakistan for 1 year after the partition of the country. Yes, I mean it. RBI was a regulator for Pakistan also for 1 year. That was until 1948. But in 1949, Government of India has nationalized RBI and declared it as supreme regulatory body of Indian banking sector. So the 5 crore rupees capital, which was subscribed by the banks and financial institutions at the time of establishing RBI, was bought back. The shares of those institutions held in RBI was taken over by Government of India. The price of each share was rupees 100 when they were issued by RBI. But when Government of India took over all those shares by virtue of nationalization, it paid a bonus of 16 rupees per each share and ultimately discarded RBI from private ownership. So ultimately, RBI has become totally a regulatory statutory body of Indian banking sector from the year 1949. So this is the history of Reserve Bank of India. Now let us see the structure of Reserve Bank of India and what functions RBI discharges from time to time. Friends, the RBI's administration is divided into one central board, four local boards, 19 zonal offices, 9 sub offices, 23 departments, RBI staff college, training and research institutions. So this is the structure of Reserve Bank of India. One central bank, four local boards, 19 zonal offices, 9 sub offices, 23 departments are there in RBI, along with one staff college and other research institutions that RBI operates. Now, let us see the structure of central board, right? So far, it is clear to you that the departments, 23 departments which RBI has got, are spread in central board of RBI. Now, let us first see central board. Friends, the central board consists of 20 members, right? One is governor, we all know. RBI means RBI governor. That is how our media also has created euphoria among the common public that RBI is always seen through RBI governor. But there are many people involved in decision making process of RBI central board. Along with the governor, there will be four deputy governors, four members from four local boards. So there are four local boards in north, south, east, and western zones. So from each local board, one member will be nominated to central board. One chief secretary, generally this person will be an IAS officer, and 10 directors from different walks of life, like They might be bankers, they might be industrialists, academicians, advisors, independent consultants, so on and so forth. So, eminent people like we have seen Ratan Tata getting nominated to RBI as director, a central board member. Even Infosys Narayan Murthy had served as central board member of RBI. So, different walks of life at the discretion of Government of India can be nominated to central board, that is 10 directors. So totally we have 20 members in central board of Reserve Bank of India, was a governor, four deputy governors, four members from local boards, chief secretary, and 10 directors, independent directors, right? Now, of course, they're not totally independent, to be frank. So they are nominated by the government, and so it's obvious that so they will work in consultation with the government stakeholders either, right? Now let us see the local boards composition. So, as I told you that there are four local boards in four zones of the country, like north, south, west, and east. That is Chennai, Delhi, Mumbai, and Kolkata. So, each local board consists of five members. In central board, we have 20 members, but in each local board, we have five members, such that one person shall be a chairman of local board, one person shall be nominated to the central board, as we saw earlier, three members with hands-on experience in banking sector. So again, the question comes, who nominates these boards? By Government of India. So government in consultation with RBI nominates these members into central and state boards. And it is not compulsory that government consults RBI to nominate members into central and state boards. Sometimes government can purely exercise its discretionary powers and nominate the members into central as well as state boards, right? So after seeing the structure of Reserve Bank of India, now let us understand the functions of Reserve Bank of India. What are the important functions that RBI discharges from time to time? So here are the important functions that RBI renders from time to time. One is acting as banker to banks. So whoever questions you, who is banker to banks in India, eyes closed answer should be Reserve Bank of India. So common man like I and you cannot go to RBI and transact with a savings bank account, but banks can have their account in RBI. So there are certain statutory deposits which banks have to make with RBI, like cash reserve ratio. Sometimes bank borrows money from RBI at repo rate, and sometimes RBI borrows money from banks whenever it needs and pays something called reverse repo rate. So bankers borrow from RBI, and of course bankers deposit money in RBI. Thus, we can say beyond any peradventure that RBI is the banker to banks. Similarly, RBI acts as banker to government. Yes, whenever government requires funds, it can approach RBI and issue treasury bills. We all know that RBI conducts auction of bills, treasury bills, 15-day treasury bills, 30 days treasury bills, 180-day treasury bills, 90-day treasury bills, so on and so forth. So whoever or whichever government agency requires funds so that can participate in the auction, quote the highest interest rate, and obtain funds from RBI. So it's a banker to government. Similarly, RBI supports the government schemes and government initiatives through its subsidiary institutions. For example, the agricultural activities, the agriculture programs of Government of India will be financed or sponsored by RBI's wing called NABARD. So is the case with housing schemes of government by HDFC, which is again an affiliate of Reserve Bank of India. That is how government make use of Reserve Bank of India as its banker, right? So government can do anything. Acting as banker to government is also a crucial function that RBI has been discharging ever since its establishment, especially ever since its nationalization in the year 1949. So Printing currency is another important function that RBI does or discharges. You all seen the signature of RBI governor on currency notes. So RBI is the ultimate authority to print currency and circulate the same in markets. So how does it circulate currency? How does it print currency? What is the mechanism it fosters? That we will see in the next chapters to come. So, but at this juncture, you remember that RBI is the ultimate authority to print currency of all denominations except that of 1 rupee denomination. So, who prints or who mints 1 rupee denomination? Is there 1 rupee note now? Of course. Still, we see currency coins minted for 1 rupee. So, this 1 rupee currency denomination is printed or minted by Ministry of Finance. So, except this 1 rupee, all the currency denominations in this country are printed by Reserve Bank of India. That is an important function RBI discharges. Now, friends, the most adroit function that determines the mettle of any central bank of the country is designing monetary policy. So, what this monetary policy is all about, it strikes a balance between the interest rates and supply and demand of money. So, striking equilibrium between supply and demand of money is the most dexterous task RBI has to perform. For that matter, central bank of any country has to perform. So, whenever inflation is there, it will increase the interest rates to bring down the consumption and vice versa. That we'll understand in the next chapters. But monetary policy, that is fixing the interest rates, increasing or decreasing the demand and supply of money, is referred to monetary policy. And that policy designing and implementing is the core responsibility of Reserve Bank of India. That's why the reason why I said that designing monetary policy is the most adroit function that central bank has to perform. So this monetary policy will decide the currency rates, the exchange rates, the interest rates, everything that is having nexus with the supply and demand side economies in the monetary market. Similarly, collecting and publishing financial data is also another function RBI discharges from time to time. You simply go to RBI website and see the database of RBI. More than 10,000 parameters of data you will find in RBI website, like the branch data, the banking data, the network data, the ATM data. So the rural banks, urban banks, semi-urban banks, the employee turnover, whatnot. Virtually every attribute or every parameter of banking sector in India is codified into RBI database. That is another important function that RBI discharges from time to time. Another important function that RBI discharges is development functions. As I told you earlier, that development activities like agriculture finance, housing finance, industrial finance, export finance. So these development finance activities will be indirectly rendered by RBI through its various subsidiaries or affiliated institutions like NABARD, HDFC, IDBI, Exim Bank, etc. Right? Of course, HDFC Bank is different from HDFC, right? NABARD, for example, a classical example of development function that RBI discharges is NABARD, right? So NABARD is meant for regulating the agricultural sector of this country, agricultural finance sector of this country. And that NABARD in turn is subordinate to Reserve Bank of India. That is how RBI discharges development functions as well. Training and development functions. I told you earlier that there is a wing called Training and Development Department in RBI Central Board that will look after the training and development activities. You all know National Institute of Banking Management, RBI Staff College. So these institutions offers PG programs, certificate courses, banking awareness programs, customer protection programs. So number of training programs and developmental activities of human resources pertaining to banking sector are undertaken as an important function by RBI through its staff college and other research institutions established at places like Pune, Mumbai, etc. Similarly, other miscellaneous functions which government entrusts from time to time, like controlling or intervening in the forex markets, or ensuring that rupee rate it remains beyond in the international market. So all such miscellaneous functions will be rendered by Reserve Bank of India, right? So these are the various functions that RBI discharges. I need to give a caveat here that don't be under impression that RBI decides the currency exchange rate under miscellaneous function. No, there's a mechanism called sterilization, under which RBI enters into open market operations and buys or sells foreign currency in order to increase or decrease the demand of currency. So, based on the demand of the currency, exchange rate will also vary. That's called sterilization measures. So, of course, such type of other functions entrusted by Government of India to RBI will be discharged by RBI as core functions. Right? These are the major functions RBI discharges. With this, our discussion on Reserve Bank of India is brought to fruition. So, in this class, we have learnt the nature of RBI, what it does, why it has been established, and we have also seen the historical backdrop of RBI, especially its international regulatory milieu in Burma and Pakistan in the very first half of 20th century. We understood the structure of RBI, that is central board, local boards, etc. Then we have also seen the functions of Reserve Bank of India. So that's all for now. We'll have a discussion on the functions, how it discharges, that is monetary policies, currency controlling, currency printing, in the next classes, right? That's all for now. Let us take assignment. So please attempt these two assignment questions. One, give the structure of Reserve Bank of India. Second, explain the important functions discharged by RBI. Right? So if you have any doubts, please feel free to revert back at 98495 or nsureshnaidu@gmail.com. See you all in the next class with another topic on banking sector. Bye bye. Be safe.